All right, well, we are going to get started. We're running a little bit over on time, so we are going to start. So I want to welcome everyone here today. My name is Mary Lagarde, and I'm the Executive Director here of the Minneapolis American Indian Center. I am a member of the wider band of Ojibwe. And for me, so I have been a part of the Unity Community Mediation Team for a few years now, and I'm one of two representatives from the Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors for the mediation team. So we have been doing a lot of work over the past years, and tonight you are going to hear from everyone that has been working on the project. And hear about all of the progress that's been made. So I'm going to hand it over to Vinny Dion, and Vinny Dion is going to start us out with a song. Thank you.
Can we get a little louder than that? Can we get a little louder? Let's give her a round of applause for opening up her space so we can talk about public safety in our city. As I said, my name is AJ Flowers. Today we're going to have a conversation about public safety and about a lot of the work that's been going on with our PCRC, our Police Community Relations Council. You know, this is a full circle moment for me because when it first started, when the UCMT was first originated in 2003, I was 11, 12 years old. Right now I have a daughter that's 12 years old, and yet I'm still here in the process. I never thought that I would be here, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I never thought I'd be sitting in a room with this many police officers. In 2020, I was outside protesting. I don't regret none of that. I was outside, I stood outside, and then through that anger and pain that I felt from George Floyd, I remember a mentor telling me a long time ago that one day, AJ, you're gonna get the attention of the people that you seek. And when you get the attention of the people that you seek, you must have a plan, you must have an agenda, you must have a plan to move forward. So while it was frustrating to me to come sit down at the table in 2020, I knew that we had to think about what was the pathway forward. And the first time I got a chance to look at the Memorandum of Understanding, I knew that this was the pathway forward. Based on the great work that was done back in 2003, I knew that if we can use that blueprint to move forward as a community, we can do this together. The most amazing part of this process, because I thought it was going to be so much hard, was the willingness of the Minneapolis Police Department to sit down with us to actually have these conversations over long times, over a 2-year period where we sat down together. Can we give them a round of applause too? When we sat down, we was a city that was divided. It was a city that had two different directions. A lot of people didn't want to see police officers. A lot of people wanted to see more police officers. What we decided is that we can do both and. We can do both transformation while still having accountability. We can do both community solutions while at the same time collaborating with our officers that's in law enforcement. We realize in order for us to move forward, especially with all the violence that we had in our city, that we need law enforcement. But we needed effective law enforcement, no pun intended. But we needed effective law enforcement to work for us and to work for the community. So what the UCMT did, and there was plenty of options and plenty of routes I could have went, but what was different about this organization is that we had representation of the whole diverse Minneapolis that we have from each community. Our Latino community, our Native community, our African American community, our white community, our LGBTQ plus I community. All communities was involved. Did I say something wrong? LGBTQ plus. Okay, if I said something wrong, my apologies. But the LGBTQ community was there as well, and we worked with everybody who had different experiences on what law enforcement was for them. My experience might be different from some of my East African brothers and sisters. My experience might be different from some of our Latino brothers and sisters. But what we did know that we all wanted to have is an experience where everybody was treated like a human being, where everybody was treated with dignity, and where everybody was treated with respect. And what we was able to do, as you will see throughout these conversations, is a lot of great community-based solutions that we built together with our community. So I want to thank everybody that's been involved and everybody that's here for that first off. Now starting off within our program, because we got to get our mayor up here, and he's been somebody as well that's been supporting us behind the scenes as much as he was able to do. He kind of let the process work, which is enough support for us, and he came to here. When we asked him to come to our meetings, he always showed up. When we needed his attention, he made sure that he was all ears, and now he is right now, everybody. Everybody give a round of applause for the mayor, Jacob Fry, to give us some words of encouragement.
Well, first, can we give a round of applause to the Unity Community Mediation team and all the amazing work they've done. Good evening. My name is Jacob Fry. I'm the mayor of Minneapolis. To Mary Lagarde, thank you so much for having us here at the American Indian Center. This is so often the location where we gather, where we collaborate, and we ultimately find better solutions. And the Unity Community Mediation team, as AJ pointed out, has for now years been doing the necessary work of change, of healing and reform, recognizing that in order to change and heal and reform a police department in a whole city, you got to work with the whole city and you got to work with the police department. That is a recognition that has been so critical, not just for some letter of agreement, not just for a memorandum of understanding, but to do the actual work of making change. And people have asked me, what does it mean to actually see change? And the answer is, it's not just a reform that's written down on a piece of paper. It's not a training that takes place for a couple of years, and then we move on to another training. Real change occurs when people throughout this city feel the difference in every interaction that they're having on the street. That's the work that our Commissioner Todd Barnett has signed up for. That's the work that our Chief O'Hara has signed up for. That's the work that our Director of Civil Rights, Michelle Phillips, has signed up for. That's the work that Reverend Ian Bethel has been doing for years through the Unity Community Mediation team, and the work that we need to continue. And we have an additional boost of assistance in the form of this independent evaluator in Alifa. You may not often hear mayors say that they're excited about the process of a settlement agreement or a consent decree. You may not often hear leaders of a city come up and say, you know what, it'll help to have that monitor come in to tell us how we're doing and tell us where we need to improve. I am excited about it, because we're going to get an objective criteria that we are able to meet or fall short on. It's not a goalpost that's set up that is then moved 3 weeks later because the politics change. It's not something that we can sign up for and then back away from because a new council or a new mayor or somebody else gets elected. It's work that is steadfast, that we care about, and that is multi-generational. And I think we all understand one core thing. which is that if police reform and culture change is going to happen in this country, it needs to happen here in Minneapolis. And to work with really impressive people like David Douglas from Aletha and Orlando Westbrook, to work with people like Michael Harrison who have the kind of long-term experience to not just be able to evaluate, but to help us out. I mean, we want to succeed. We want the people that are monitoring us to want to succeed. We're all in on this work. This is not like a half-assed effort here. This is every single person. You see how many Minneapolis police officers that we've got right now in this room? They're committed to this work. By the way, we now, for the very first time in a while, are seeing increases in the number of applicants that we've got coming into the Minneapolis Police Department. That's not by accident. That's a hell of a lot of work happening through our cities, through the campaign we're rolling out. That's our chief leading in a way that is saying to people throughout the city and even beyond, if you want to be part of the change, if you want to get in on the ground level on a truly different and innovative policing, the Minneapolis Police Department is the place to come to do it. It's an honorable profession, and we're proud to be part of this team that is going to be making the change. And we recognize that we got to be doing it each and every step with you. Whether that is through long-term negotiations with people like AJ and Miles, whether that's doing the long-term week with work with you, Lisa. I see you got the camera pointed right at me. Or that's doing the work with people really throughout the community. This is work that we know that can make a gigantic difference. And let me just say clearly, we're all in. So thank you for having us. Thank you for doing this amazing work. Let's keep the momentum going. Right now, the city is in the process of hiring up so that we can make sure that that reform takes place. You know, change can be expensive, but it's worth investing in. And although we are in a tight budget cycle right now, although there weren't a lot of other areas that got increasing in funding, this is one area where I think we collectively recognize where it was essential. We're all in. We recognize that you all are too. Thank you so much for the work. AJ, I'm passing it back to you. Thanks so much, everyone. We wish.
Thank you so much, man. Everybody give him a round of applause, please. I think it's very important to have people like the mayor here because, as I stated, back in 2003 when I was 11, 12 years old, getting dragged in these meetings with Mr. Moss and Anita and Pastor Bethel, I remember it was a reluctancy and it wasn't as much collaboration on both the police and the community side. It was a lot more adversary the whole time of those meetings. And now to have and look up now to see we got half the room of officers to show that they are committed to watching this memorandum of understanding, to see the mayor here as well, to show that he is committed to see this work move forward. I think that is very important for us to recognize and understand the great work that we are doing moving forward. So as we're going to move forward, I'm going to bring up this next person to the stage, man. This is my brother right here. If you see me, you see him. If you don't see him, you see me, and if you don't see me, you see him, because we've sat here through this whole process from 2021 together. We're both fathers, we both do work, we both work outside of this, and we both, the kids kick our butts sometimes, but we still make sure that we come sit down and be a representation for that younger generation that was moving forward. When we started the Young People Task Force, it was to ensure that we had that young voice at the table, to ensure that we had young people's voice really be elevated so that they can be a part of this conversation move forward. When we're talking about recruitment, if we don't have the young voice there to talk about what type of police department that they want to serve in, we're not going to get those recruits. I also want to give a big shout out to all our CSOs back there, man. Can we clap it up for them? That's what change looks like. That's what diversity looks like. So this next brother I'm bringing up is our chair. He's also the treasurer of the Unity Community Mediation Team. He's the founder of United Not Divided, which focuses on mental health for African Americans. And this is my boy right here, Brother Miles Wilson.
Good evening and welcome to everybody. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Miles Wilson. As AJ mentioned, I'm the chair of the Young People's Task Force, as well as part of the Unity Community Mediation Team. And Tonight, I have the pleasure and the responsibility of kind of giving a history and honoring what came before us before AJ and I had joined the Unity Community Mediation team. So I'll be reading the history of where we started. The Unity Community Mediation Team, or UCMT, founded in 2003, is a group of diverse community leaders and organizations working for the transformation of public safety in Minneapolis. Our work has been led by the late Ron Edwards, Clyde Bellecourt, and as well as Spike Moss, Pastor Mary Flowers Spratt, Bill Means, Pastor Ian Bethel, and others. We work with partners in all communities, including the African descendants of the enslaved, the Native American, Somali, Latino, LGBTQIA+, and faith communities, as well as others. On December 4th, 2003, the UCMT signed a Memorandum of Agreement, an MOA, with the City of Minneapolis, a 24-page document drafted with the help of the Department of Justice. The MOA outlined action items dedicated to changing the culture of policing and protecting safety, human rights, civil rights, and legal rights of all Minneapolis residents. The MOA contained over 100 action items brought to the table by the UCMT to address excessive force, improve police-community relationships, respond to mental health needs of the community and officers, child protection, and to diversify the MPD. The UCMT continued for 5 years in collaboration with the community members and organizations to bring MPD into compliance with the agreement. The City of Minneapolis ended the MOA in 2008. On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was tragically murdered. That's when UCMT members moved quickly, the next day in fact, to revive the mediation process. During the summer of 2020, MPD and the UCMT were brought together once more with the Department of Justice, and this time with Chief Arredondo. In 2021, while some were calling for defunding and dismantling the police, UCMT called for both police and transformation. We need police officers to be held accountable and a complete community-led transformation of public safety in Minneapolis. The UCMT worked with MPD, this time without a mediator, to update and expand the original MOA to a new Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU. This was signed on August 8th, 2022. In November of 2022, UCMT held the first annual report back to the community event at Sabathany, a potluck with hundreds of people that came together to celebrate the signing of the MOU and this new relationship being forged between MPD and Minneapolis communities. The next year, UCMT held the second annual report back to the community in November, where it was announced that the MPD and UCMT were in compliance with over 25% of the action items in the MOU, representing real progress in only 1 year. The Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Human Rights frequently attended the UCMT meetings as she prepared to file suit against the City of Minneapolis for years of abuse of African Americans and Native Americans by MPD officers. The settlement agreement to the suit closely tracked with the action items in the MOU that had been signed by the MPD and the UCMT a year earlier. After the Department of the Human Rights settled the suit, the city agreed to a settlement agreement to be overseen by a judge. UCMT is working closely to monitor this process, effective law enforcement for all, ALEFA, and ensuring they listen to the voices of Minneapolis residents. In 2024, the UCMT initiated a new public safety infrastructure based on the MOU to create 9 community-based sites with trusted community agencies in the African American, Native American, Somali, Latino, and LGBTQI+ communities. These accessible sites specialize in the following: a safe, cultural beneficial location to intake police misconduct complaints, a first stop mediation between community members and MPD, mentorship for new officers by pairing them with community members, and to serve as a liaison, keeping neighbors informed about public safety issues. A highlighted program includes our community mentor program, also called for in the MOU, where newly hired MPD officers are paired with the site team members to ensure new officers have good relationships with our communities. The MOU is a living document that will continue to guide public safety in Minneapolis. This work must continue. This work is happening now in the city, and in the City Hall can serve as a model for other cities. The sites and the mentor program are just the first promising steps UCMT is taking in the transformation and accountability of public safety in Minneapolis. We thank you all for your support.
Yes, I need to stand up here since he put on the podium. I'm stand right here too. But that was beautiful, and it's always good to get the history of what we done, because if you don't know where you came from, you'll never know where you can go next. So you got to know your history, and especially give the praise to the people that started and sat at the table when it wasn't as easy as it probably was this time, or it wasn't as much support as we had now in order to get these things done right here. So let's give another round of applause for Miles Wilson, please. This next person I'm bringing up is one of those original members from 2003, when it was a little more hectic and he had to do a little more yelling. And now he's also the founder of the Young People Task Force. He's one of the mentors of all of us that's there. And he always gave us that platform and always let the Young People Task Force lead in a way that I'm very grateful for and very thankful for. He'll be coming up here to speak about some of the compliance that we have within our memorandum of understanding. As the mayor pointed out, it's one thing to have a paper and a document, it's another thing to actually be doing the work. So he will be explaining some of the work we're doing right now. Everybody please give a big round of applause for our chair, Pastor Ian Bethel.
It's with great humility that we're able to stand before you tonight. So often we don't get an opportunity to show you how we are in compliance on behalf of the community with this memorandum of understanding. As we stand on the shoulders of the bell cords, the means, Spike, so good to see you, man. Still here doing it. Y'all trained me way back then and taught me how to turn over tables and yell to get attention for our community. And then look at us now. We're here real civil, dressed in suits. And everybody's smiling, ain't nobody fighting and frowning. Come on, somebody. Let's give our city a hand. They never knew that a Baptist preacher cussed until McAfee taught me how to cuss. But we are a team. And that's what I want to say, and I thank God for a young people task force. And one of the things that Booker, and he's now Chief Booker, said to me way back when we was over there north, over there when we were doing our report, and we told him, the then chief said, this ain't no gift horse to you. And Booker said to me, he came to me in my ear, he said, don't forget about the young people. We got it right now, community. The Young People's Task Force is going to take this and going to lead us on. Amen. Come on, somebody. The young people are going to take this and going to lead us on. We're about reform, transformation, accountability, transparency, and consequences. Amen. And that's not just for law enforcement. That's for our community. Right on. We got to deal with both sides. Say it with me. Reform, transformation, accountability, transparency, and consequences. We are in partnership with community organizations, and we're in partnership with the citizens of Minneapolis. The MOU is not something that's enforced by a judge. It's enforced by the citizens of Minneapolis and the free will of the leadership and the cops on the block in Minneapolis. We didn't need nobody coming down to get this MOU done. One of the things we did for you as citizens of Minneapolis, this MOU is a living document. When I get out of this spot in the next 2 years, I will still support the work of the Young People's Task Force who will take leadership on this, but this document will be perpetual.
Yes.
I just want to simply share with you for 2 or 3 minutes what's contained in this MOU. Section 1 is on use of force. Section 2 deals with the Minneapolis Police Department and our community relationships. Section 3 deals with behavioral health and disabilities. Section 4 deals with diversity and within the workforce of the Minneapolis Police Department. Section 5 deals with cultural awareness and sensitivity. Section 6 deals with the duty of care. Section 7 deals with accountability of police officers. That whole complaint process that you will hear tonight about the various sites that we now have up and running in our community. Most of us scared to go downtown to complain about the police. So we brought it to every community. And not just to complain, but you can give a compliment. And not just to complain and give a compliment, but any information you need about what's happening with ELIFA, what's happening with what may come about from the DOJ. You have those sites in your community and you will see people looking just like you. And we are trained to work along with our civil rights partners. Okay. Section 8 deals with the removal of children from the home, parent, and legal guardians. We know a lot of that has changed since 2003 spike, because there's been some changes now that it's now the sheriff department deals with that, but we are collaborating. We do not compete. We what? Collaborate. Section 9 deals with training. Section 10 deals with equipment. For instance, the body cameras under our beloved Arredondo, who said that as soon as you get a call, click it on right away while you on your way. Equipment. 11 deals with the budget. Section 12 deals with effective data. Section 13 deals with amending and updating. And what I want to deal with tonight is Section 14, performance, monitoring, and compliance. One of the important functions of the Police Community Relations Council, which I'm happy to be a co-chair along with our illustrious chief, who's here with us tonight and who continues to be with us, is to serve as a mechanism of self-enforcement of this agreement and to oversee implementation of this agreement. Self-enforcement from our community and self-enforcement from the city, self-enforcement from the Minneapolis police officers. We don't need a judge to do this. We can handle our own business. The Minneapolis Police Department Compliance Support shall report to the PCRC with timely updates on every part of this agreement that may be affected by actions of local, state, or federal lawmakers, including the U.S. Department of Justice, the Minnesota Departments of Public Safety, Human Rights, or other relevant agencies. A compliance subcommittee has been created and has been able to be made up of a number of officers from the Minneapolis Police Department and organizations from the Unity Community Mediation Team. And I'm here tonight to report to you that as up until our last compliance committee meeting under the PCRC, that we're now just about 70-something% in compliance. That doesn't mean the work is done, but that means community, Minneapolis citizens, that the police department and members in our community sat down for over 2 years, weekly and monthly, going not only toe to toe, but eye to eye, sometimes in disagreement, but then we all came back and said we can agree that we have complied in certain areas of the MOU, but the work is still yet to be done. Amen. And then I want to give you this look ahead from section 14, and this will happen next year. Within 60 days following the 3rd anniversary of the effective date and every anniversary date thereafter, the Minneapolis Police Department will report to the PCRC on its progress toward implementing the provisions of this agreement. Each report shall identify any specific deficiencies and items of non-compliance and shall specify the Minneapolis Police Department's plan and timetable to rectify such problems. This is from section 14 of our MOU. And I'm happy to report tonight, the Youth Community Mission Team is open to anyone and anyone in this community. Our meetings are always public. Our PCRC, Police Community Relations Council meetings are held monthly. It's a public, open meeting for anyone who wants to come and be a part to get the information that you need. I'm so grateful for Elifa. I want to thank our site directors who are here. I want to thank every member of the Unity Community Team who's here. All of our law enforcement who are here. We are a team. We're working together, and we will get this done. We will get this done, regardless of who's the mayor, who's the city council person. We, the citizens, will get this job done. And it is perpetual. It's not going away. And we're here to serve you. And we thank God for this time that we can come together as a community and have this type of talk and collaboration. Amen. Come on, put your hands together. Give Minneapolis a hand of support.
So the next person I'm introducing is our chief for right now, and I think it's important that I say this first. I say this first because as he came in here, one of the first meetings that he had within weeks of being announced our new police chief is he came down and he sat down with the Unity Community Mediation Team along with our Young People Task Force. And to his credit, he had read the memorandum the first time. I usually try to catch people off guard, but he had read it right away the first time. But he could have came here and came with his own plan. The only way this works is the willingness of both sides to collaborate together. The police department can say, we're just going to deal with Elifa, or we're just going to deal with the monitoring. And the community can step away and say, we just want to be angry at you. But the only way this process, the memorandum of understanding, the MOA works, is the willingness and the collaboration of both sides wanting to come together to have a better city for the citizens of Minneapolis. So this next person I'm introducing is our Minneapolis Police Chief, Brian O'Hara.
Our chief for right now. Okay, you know something, we'll talk after this. Into the fire. Thank you, AJ, thank you so much. And just reflecting on that time, you know, when I first came here, we first met. So actually this month, it'll be 2 years ago, the mayor first brought me here. You know, I feel like at that time when we first got together, the situation here was, there wasn't too much hope. And I feel like there's definitely hope now. And so we thank God for that. You know, and I think it's clear a lot of that comes from the work that you all have been doing, and we've been doing together. And so I just want to acknowledge, you know, my assistant chiefs are here. Assistant Chief Katie Blackwell, she handles the operations under the police department, and Assistant Chief Chris Gators, who handles the community trust branch side of the police department. And Chris has been leading a lot of the work every single day, sometimes day and night, reaching out with different stakeholders and members of the Unity community. And it's been a lot over the last 2 years, and a lot has been accomplished. And I'm really thankful for you all that participate in this, because you all know we can't have public safety without the public, and you all bring community into all of this in ways that we're talking about today, and in ways that haven't even been mentioned. So thank you all for the time that you all invest into this. Thank you to Director Mary Lagarde is here. Thank you so much again for having us into this beautiful space. I just wanted to talk briefly to add on to what was mentioned earlier. Something I think is really, really significant that I worked on with Reverend Bethel and members of the Unity community is to add a mentorship program for young police officers. And the idea is, Unity community already has the infrastructure. They already have stakeholders from every community that's represented in the city. And they have the ability to provide mentors from every community for younger police officers. And the reality is, we know that the more our officers are able to go out and talk to folks in community, engage with folks in community, hear from them, not only the more we better able to serve and do our job, the better our officers feel, and the more motivated and the better they feel about their job. So it's an essential relationship that we want to make sure we get right from the beginning. Cops, we'll bring up a couple of our new officers to talk about their experience in the program and kind of why they got into this profession. But we know that our police officers who are better connected to community will have better morale. They'll be able to better serve community, and we want to be able to get that right from the beginning. So this program was led by Commander Chris Brown from our training division. There's currently 11 officers on field training that are participating in the program. There's also 15 recruits that'll actually be graduating in that gym next week from the police academy that are also participating in the program. Yes. And we have 24 CSOs, and many of them are standing in the back in the gray shirts. And we're looking forward to them once they get to the point as they're getting ready to go in the academy to start in this program as well. We're focusing on officers in the beginning of the career because we know that sharing that knowledge, that input, making those corrections and connections and getting it right from the beginning helps put officers on the right track right from the beginning. And it helps create advocates in the community for officers. And they will have access to stakeholders, to community leaders from different communities around the city who know them personally, who know who they are, who know the reason why they're here, their purpose for being here. And we know that learning and that interaction is shared, it's mutual, and we know the community also benefits from that process. So I just wanted to call up a couple of our new officers. We have recruit Leslie Vera, recruit Val Perez, and Officer Del Villar. So these are our new officers. 3 of our newer officers, and just to start out, if you all could just please introduce yourselves briefly, who you are, why do you want to be a police officer in Minneapolis, and explain briefly, kind of like what you learned, through engaging with your mentor.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'm recruit Leslie Vera. The reason why I joined Minneapolis Police Department is because I grew up here in Minneapolis. I was born in Mexico, and when I moved here, I moved to South Minneapolis, and I always wanted to become a police officer. I always saw all the officers in my neighborhood. I saw them as role models. The only thing that was missing is there was no officer that looked like me, like a female Latina that I can look up to. So this is the reason why I'm here, and I want to be able to provide that to the Latino community, and I want other Latina females to see me and be like, yeah, she did it, I can do it too. So this is why I'm here. And And for the mentorship program, we just got the introduction, but I think it's a really good idea to have people in the community to be our mentors, just because they have an insight of the community and they know how the community works. So just knowing that we have that, those people out there that can help us police better, it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Recruit Valeria Perez, and like Leslie, I was born and raised in Mexico. I came here when I was around 10 years old, and the reason I chose Minneapolis was because of the negativity I seen around. I was with Ramsey County, and I was getting a lateral as a deputy, and when I started going around and telling my coworkers and friends that I was going to apply here because I think this department needs a change, they told me like, well, good luck, or God bless your heart, or something like that. That sounds positive, but in the back of my head, that's kind of negative, because they're looking at me like, oh, poor thing, you'll see and you'll come back here. And some people even make a joke about that I'm gonna come back to Ramsey County after I find out what it is to work in here. So for me, that was a challenge, and also to prove myself that I can do that, and to prove my family. My mom is a big supporter of law enforcement, but she does not approve that I'm sitting here or standing here, and she still believes I'm working at Ramsey County as of right now. So, I don't know, so she's watching you. I'm planning to tell her this weekend. I'm planning the dinner, and I just haven't found the right way to tell her. I want to tell her that I know she's gonna be proud of me, but she's very concerned as a parent. The first thing she told me is like, I don't want you there because I don't want to see you die like Officer Mitchell. And when I was about to tell her I was gonna start the academy, that's when the tragedy happened. So I didn't have the heart to tell her, hey, your daughter, it's going into this path that, your daughter is gonna go into this path that I choose, and I'm proud to be here. And I know Officer Mitchell sacrificed his life, and I want to do everything I can to be a good role model for those next officers.
Hello, everybody. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone for being here. I know everyone here has a busy schedule, and like I said, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here and have these conversations with us, right? A little bit about myself. So I'm a Minneapolis native. Grew up in Minneapolis. Always wanted to be a cop for Minneapolis just because I grew up here, right? I know the community, I know the people, I see the familiar faces, right? So that's one of the big reasons I wanted to be for Minneapolis. One of the reasons that I also joined, not a lot of people know this, but so I grew up with my dad, right? He was blind. I grew up with him just going out, getting groceries, doing everyday life activities, right? Getting around, and while doing the everyday activities, right, the everyday norms, I always saw people going out of their way, helping my dad out, open the doors, doing whatever they can to assist him, right? So that's one of the big reasons why I joined Minneapolis, is because the community gave back to my dad, so I want to give back to the community, right? That's what I want. Just to touch a little bit about the mentorship program, I'm actually one of the 11, like the chief mentioned, that are in field training, right? So my class graduated in May of this year. Almost done, so that'll be exciting for me. So like I said, I was the first class to be exposed to this program. This program is really beneficial, and I hope it keeps going forward in the future, right? To help build the bridges with the community, and then that way we're exposed to the many leaders, like it was mentioned earlier, Native, Mexican, Black, right, and so on, right? So that's what we want. We want to be out on the street if we need your guys' assistance, we want to feel comfortable to go up to you and to assist us with the scenes and hopefully to make things go as smoothly as possible, right? I'd like to give a shout out to the chief, the command staff, CSOs, right? November 10th, I think it was, of 2022, I think was the chief had his ceremony, right? That was a big step for the Minneapolis Police Department, right? So having our first chief after 2020, it's a big move, big change for Minneapolis, right? So far the ball has been rolling in the right direction, right? Lots of change. Officers feel backed and supported by the chief. I ran into the chief on several scenes, right? He's out on the street, he's visible. As a newer officer, that's what I like to see, and I feel supported by a chief and the command staff, right? So I'd like to give a shout out to chief, command staff, and first and foremost, and the CSOs in the back, because I started as a CSO as well.
We have our officers here, our CSOs, they go through years of training, right? They go through years of college training to do this. They graduate, they go into the police academy, they spend 16 weeks in the police academy, they go into field training. So it's all this years and years and years of training to do this job. The one thing that's missing, the one piece that's so essential is the community, is the connection to the community. That's not something you're gonna learn out of a textbook. That's not something you're gonna learn from some cop telling another cop. That's something that they are learning, beginning the stages, what we're trying to do with this mentorship program so that they can be connected to all the communities around the city and make sure everybody starts off on the right foot, connected with the community, supported by the community, and making sure that they all know and see, leaders in the community that see we're policing with dignity, we're policing with respect, then everything else will fall in line. You don't have to worry about all those other paragraphs of, consent decrees, everything else. You're doing that as that's what we do, because that's what we do here. Everything else will fall in line. So I just want to announce and thank you all. They all chose Minneapolis. They chose this profession when everyone else was leaving. Everybody's saying, don't go to Minneapolis. People that are here that are leaving in droves. They chose us, they wanted to be here. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank all of you out there that chose us, our CSOs and others, because it takes a lot of courage to do that. You heard, some family members don't even know some of us work here, right? So thank you all so much for the dedication, what you do. I just want the mentors, the community mentors that are here to raise their hands so we can acknowledge all of our mentors. Thank you so much. It's such an incredible, incredible value that you're adding to the change that people want to see on the street, and you're leading that. Thank you so much. I just wanted to call up two of our mentors. If we could bring up Miles Wilson again, and Vinny Dion, if he's still here, just to share their thoughts on this.
Well, the mentorship program has been great. I mean, like everybody's mentioned, there's a lot of benefits to it. Me personally, it's been interesting and very beneficial for myself because I'm able to actually get to know these officers personally. I'm able to actually let them know who I am and where I live, what I do, who my family is, my neighbors. And so for that reason, it's been like very important and very beneficial for me because I'm actually able to have a personal relationship with these officers.
First, I want to thank Chief O'Hara for even implementing something like this. It's very important. As a community, we have a lot of healing to do. For me personally, I was super like, we need to get some Native officers in there. People that know our struggles, our traumas. That's right. And the healing that we need to do, Yes. So when he came up with this idea, I jumped at the chance, like I want to get involved. Yes. I want them to know what we've been through, why we are the way we are, and I just want to thank you. Yes.
And that was an emotional emotional sight for me to see, because once I joined the UCMT, and one of those sections in there that say diversifying the workforce, this is what it looks like. Sometimes when you're doing this work and you're steadfast and you got your head down, you're never able to look up and see the work that's actually already being done. So to see these officers here, and one of the great things I heard was not only they was officers of color, but they all was officers from the community as well that want to serve their community. This is something that people talked about in 2020, 2021, and this is the work that we're actually getting done. So to see that right there, and to see how this mentorship is blossoming, and to see that the officers like it, and to see our mentors of different communities is an amazing sight to see. And I feel really proud to be a part of this organization because of that. Speaking of community, one of the great things that we also have in there is our community-based sites that we were speaking about earlier, where people can come file complaints, and not only file complaints, but file compliments, as he said. But not only that, every organization that we have chosen to host these community sites are also community-based organizations. So they also do direct work with the community, boots on the ground work. So they're working with these community members already. So it's a level of comfort that we have. And the goal is that we don't have a whole bunch of 100 complaints in there. The goal is that we can use this as a process to keep building that bridge and building that gap between community and law enforcement. This next person I'm gonna bring up is the son of one of the original UCMT members, and the son of the late Clyde Belcourt. And if you know anything about the Native community, you should know about Clyde Belcourt. And if you don't, shame on you. He put in a lot of work to get to the point where we at right now. So to look at it full circle, it's kind of amazing for me to be the son of Al Flowers. And right now I'm introducing the son of the late Clyde Belcourt. Can everybody please give a round of applause for little Clyde Belcourt?
Didn't know I was going to be saying a few words tonight, but here I am. I got involved with the Unity community group. I'm pretty fairly new, just this past year. I went to a meeting and I got voted on the board, I believe the same meeting. And I guess, yeah, the reason why I got involved is because this kind of work is my dad's life's work. I kind of have a hard time talking about him still, but I'm gonna give it a go. But I want to give a shout out to the Alifa. You know, we had some monitors back, started up 1968, American Indian Movement. They were the first ones who monitored the police. There was a lot of Indian bars down here on Franklin Avenue, which all got shut down now. But before that, they monitored the police, and they started the AIM patrol, and they made sure that when the Native brothers and sisters got arrested, that they didn't get brought down to the river, beat up. They followed them to the police station, made sure that they got to where they had to go. So here we are, you know, fast forward 50 some years later, and we're still fighting some of these same fights. Yeah. You know, so we gotta stay on it, and we got to make some change in the community. Yeah. It's very crucial, you know. Department of Justice came in after the George Floyd thing and told us what we already knew as Native people, that we get it the worst of all the people of color, you know, and everybody watched the news, seen it, and they're, oh my God. You know, we already know that as Native people. So we got to change that. We got to change the police culture. I'm very proud of my brother Vin Dion. He's one of the, he's doing it. Got this nice picture up here. I feel like braiding his ponytail there. I'm just kidding, I gotta get a laugh in there somewhere. But yeah, I'm proud to be a part of this work, and I hope that it's not just talk, you know, and I still have an open invite to Alifa. Come down to Little Earth, you know, visit the people, do some door knocking, come down to one of our many Native programs we have in the South Side. Talk to our people, see what's really facing them, see what problems they have, what they want to see done with the Minneapolis Police Department. Yeah. Yep. All right, Chimigwich, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody, please give another round of applause, please. These community-based sites that we have is one of the bigger things that we're doing within the memorandum. I implore people to go, hold on, brother. I implore people to go study the memorandum. You can go look right outside there. It's a QR code where you can download our thing. You can actually look at the memorandum. This right here is section 7, where it explains this mentor programming. It explains these community satellite sites, and it explains all the work that we're doing right now. I also want to give a shout out to some of those members from those community satellite sites that's here right now. If you're part of some of our community satellite sites and you're one of our executive directors, can you please stand up for me, please? I say, can we please convey voice of East African women back there? We have community members, and that's not everybody that's here, but we have all these community members that's here that's taking the time out their day right now, volunteering in order to have these sites open and to have that opportunity for our community members to feel comfortable, to feel safe, to feel welcome, where they need to come file a complaint as needed. Speaking of the partnership that we have with the Unity Community Mediation Team, community-based sites, in order for that to work, we have to have the love and the support from our Civil Rights Department. The Civil Rights Department is part of this process with us in order to ensure that these complaints are filed properly, to make sure that the data is there for us as well, as she will come up and explain a little more. We got Michelle Phillips. She served as the Deputy Inspector of Investigations for Baltimore's Inspector General before. She became to the Oakland, I don't know her, that's why I gotta read this, I'm sorry y'all. She became the Oakland, California Police Commission's first Inspector General, where she focused on protecting the community so Oakland PD could get back the trust with the community policing. Everybody please give a round of applause for our Civil Rights Director, Michelle Phillips.
I just want to acknowledge everybody who came out tonight. You could be anywhere, but you guys decided to be here with us while we work on this very, very, very important work. As AJ Flowers said, my name is Michelle Phillips. I'm 2 months in to the new role as the Director of Civil Rights, and I am drinking out of a water hose. But I'm extremely excited to be here. One of the first questions I received when I was going through this process was, why do you want to come to Minneapolis? Why not Minneapolis? Minneapolis deserves the best. Minneapolis deserves the brightest. Minneapolis deserves commitment to people and public servantry, and that's exactly what I am, who I am, and why I came here. So we have to work to do the work. And that's exactly what the Unity Community Mediation Team has done. About 3 weeks ago, we had a reintroduction training with our sites. I was very excited about that. So our Office of Police Conduct Review is the city's public-facing entity that does police misconduct complaints. So we receive complaints from members of the public and community members to investigate allegations of police misconduct. Understanding that we have to acknowledge we weren't always doing it the best way, right? And we need to move forward from that. I think that's the first thing that we needed to do, and that's one thing that the city did do, is acknowledge that there is a better way. With Alifa here, with new leadership, with new commitment and community who is willing to help us, who is willing to talk to us and willing to help me as a transplant reach community members. So I really want to acknowledge all of the sites and the folks who are like, Michelle, come outside. I want to introduce you to this person and that person so that we can do the training. And he's absolutely right. In the next several weeks, we already have trainings on the book to get our individual sites acclimated so that they can do the work on the ground on our behalf to reach community members that have still distrust. Your complaints, how you feel, your interactions are very important to all of us, and we don't want to discredit that or not make ourselves accessible because you may potentially be uncomfortable.
That's true.
because I done reached out to you almost for the last 5 months. I heard about what the misconduct, and how many officers have you fired since you've been here?
So,
No, I'm focused. How many officers has she fired?
so no, we can go
fire
ahead
the people
and,
that's there, right?
we can go ahead and talk about that. So one thing that I will
Yeah, we don't have
say
time for it.
is that there is a process that was interrupted. There was a process that was interrupted. And one thing that I'm focused on is working to make sure that that process is better. It was fractured. I won't say that it was necessarily broken, but it was definitely fractured, and we need to regain our commitment to
Your name
community.
is on the thing, you walking in front of me, please, I'm trying to.
So as we start to move forward, what I will do is make sure that we do have a commitment to community to work through this backlog, and to help to rebuild the trust in community. I'm working on making sure that the vacancies that we have, there's a severe vacancy issue. We're working with the enterprise to make sure that those vacancies are filled. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have another recruitment going out for our investigators. So please, if you're interested, please apply for those vacancies in the last couple of weeks.
I'm gonna let you know, my name is Jonathan Mason, so we can expedite the process, right?
Absolutely, sir. And I appreciate folks that are looking at us. That's community accountability. Like the Rev said, we are public servants. We must be accountable to community. We are a direct service to the members of the community, all community members. And we have to stand up and make sure that we don't forget that. So culturally, that's one thing that I'm trying to make sure that I do, and I lead by example. So that's why I'm here, to take the difficult questions and acknowledge the fact that there have been some fractured systems. And I'm here to help to fix that. I'm here to partner with community to utilize the partnership so that we have accessibility and we have the amount of resources that we need, the number of investigators, the intake folks that are vetting this information appropriately, and to communicate effectively. Sir, we see you, if you give me 1 second, so that we can go ahead and communicate with community in a timely fashion, a reasonable fashion. And I think that's one thing all community wanted, was not to be ignored, not to feel like their complaints were going unheard. I want to acknowledge and say that I hear you, and I'm working on it. That's one reason why I'm not in community as much as I would like to be. Honestly, it's because I'm working on making sure that our infrastructure is efficient. You know, sometimes we have infrastructures, but they might be outdated. And we have to do assessments, and we have to say, okay, maybe it's a better way, a more efficient way for us to do what we need to do. And with the guidance of ALIFA, with the guidance of community, getting the feedback, sitting down and talking to our community partners, I hear you. And I acknowledge what is said, and I'm here to do the work. And I don't know where, somewhere we forgot that community is our purpose, people are our purpose. And that should be our North Stars, to provide the public service that we were sworn to provide. Police accountability is not anti-police.
No, right.
Fair, firm, and impartial assessments of police misconduct allegations are what we will do in OPCR. That is what we're tasked to do, and that is my commitment to community, my commitment to stakeholders. As we continue to move forward, we will get through this process. It's not easy, change is difficult. I am very new, and folks have issues with change, and that's okay, because I'm here to do the work and here to make the difficult decisions. And as we continue with our partnership, we will hopefully in the next 2 months be 100% online, having all of our sites trained, because that's what we're supposed to be talking about, is our partnership with the Unity Community Mediation Team. So we'll have all of our sites trained. They will have complaint forms there. They will be trained to help to fill out the complaint forms online on your behalf, should there be any type of barriers that you may have. We're also We're also making sure that we have a translation service to translate that information as well. And one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is at these sites, we will also be training for a complaint investigations division, which is our discrimination division. They take complaints and allegations of discrimination of protected classes and civil rights. So you can come to our sites to also fill out complaints regarding allegations of potential discrimination as well as police misconduct. Those sites will be trained appropriately to fulfill those mandates and make sure that we fulfill our obligations as outlined in the MOU with community. It's not just with the Unity Community Mediation Team, it's with the community and everybody in this room. So I just want to say that I appreciate everyone's commitment. The cultural changes, unfortunately, they're not as quick as we want them to be. And we have to also acknowledge it, but we are working towards the change and we are committed to the change within the Department of Civil Rights. And I'm definitely here to lead that change. So I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity, acknowledge where we've been. I think to AJ's point, if we don't acknowledge where we came from, we can't see where we're going. So we have to acknowledge the missteps that were potentially taken, learn from them. It's lessons learned, move forward so that we don't do it again. And that's what I do not expect to do, is to have those missteps happen again. So I'm here for community, I'm here for commitment, I'm here for everybody in this room. So I want to thank everybody for the opportunity. If you have any questions regarding the complaint process, let me know. It's very easy. You can also call 311 and file a complaint. It will be routed to us. You can do a complaint online. You can come to our office down at City Hall. You can also go to any of our sites to file a complaint as well if you feel more comfortable. But we're here to take your complaints and we're here to do the investigations timely and make sure we come to a fair outcome. Thank you.
He wasn't the only one with his hand up, brother. I see we got questions with community. As I told you, brother, I'm going to get to your question too as well. We're running on good time, so we should have time for community. If you have something to say at the end, you will be able to speak while everybody is still here. Yeah. So yeah, we're moving fast. We're trying to move this thing along as quickly as possible. We're almost at the end of the program. So I would just ask anybody who have questions to please line up behind my brother right there so that we can have an orderly question. And please have a question and have it limited for when we get to that time. But next up, we're going to have the community's role, since we're talking about community and this settlement agreement that's here right now. The settlement agreement that we have with the state, Effective Law Enforcement for All, is the one that's monitoring it. And we have members from Effective Law Enforcement for All that's here. Can we have David Douglas, who is the founder and president of Effective Law Enforcement for All, come on up and speak about the community's role in the partnership of what we can do with the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. After all the moving and impressive remarks you've heard tonight, you're probably feeling a little sorry for me. Or maybe I'm just feeling sorry for myself. But I want to start by, I am David Douglas, I'm the president and co-founder of Effective Law Enforcement for All. With me tonight, Michael Harrison is my co-independent evaluator. Michael Harrison is the former chief of police in New Orleans and the former chief of police in Baltimore, Maryland. What were, when he arrived, two of the most troubled police departments in the country. Under his leadership, both those departments made tremendous progress toward complying with federal consent decrees, establishing constitutional, safe, and effective policing in this community while reducing crime. So we know it can be done because it's been done before and it will be done again here in Minneapolis. I want to introduce Arlinda Westbrook, who many of you have already met. Arlinda's formal title in New Orleans, she was chief of their Internal Affairs Division. She was the first civilian to lead that division. She was the city attorney, and they persuaded her to leave that job. And she knew that if she was going to that she knew that that community needed change, and that this was her opportunity to be part of that change, and that she couldn't turn it down. So she took that on. She built that internal affairs unit until it was objective, fair, and most important, had the trust of the community. And just so you know, I've always said that in terms of the consent decree, while Michael was the big boss, the person we worked day to day to work with to resolve all the very difficult issues was Arlinda. And Arlinda, as some of you know, can speak to anybody. She helped us gain the trust of the police department and the trust of the community. So when I put together a team here, I invited Michael and Arlinda to join because we have already partnered together to help communities come into compliance with consent decrees. Now, I want to thank Unity Community Mediation Team, not simply for hosting us here, but for being our mentors and guides. Were any of you at the public meetings, the interview meetings? Yes. You remember then that we said we had not picked a community liaison. We said we would pick once we were here and learned. And even before we had done any of that, Unity Community reached out to us. And they said, we want to partner with you. We want to support you and make sure you're effective. And they have connected us with many of you in this room who we've already met. I want to particularly thank Al Flowers, although it's going to ruin his reputation when I say he has worked cooperatively with us to help make this a success. I know you're not going to win it, but I've come to really enjoy and respect Al. See, that's bad for you, I know that. But through their work, I'm glad to say this is not our first time here at this center, because we came and visited the center in Little Earth before. We've met folks in the Somali community. We're not from here, but we are working hard to get to know this community and get to know all of you. Let me say a brief word about where we are in our process. So we have released our 90-day evaluation plan. I know some of you have already read it. We will be building in community engagement. We'll be answering questions. We'll be back to talk to everyone to make sure people's questions are answered. Day by day, we're working with Chief O'Hara and the city and Michelle. We have a very elaborate checklist of items that we are working through, and everybody's working very hard, and we've got tremendous support from the city and from all of you. At the end of the day, what we're doing is narrow. Working with the city, with the police department, with all of you, we will set the floor for lawful, safe, and effective policing in the Minneapolis community. But you all will build on that work when we're gone, and you all will decide what the ceiling is for the policing that you want in this community. And I think as you do that, you'll become a model for the nation. We look forward to partnering with you in that process, and we look forward to working with you and getting to know you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we're coming up to our last speaker before we allow for the community to speak. As everybody's saying, let me also be clear too, all of our meetings are open to the public. Everybody is welcome to come into the meeting, bring your input, and actually bring your voice and sit down and actually do some of this work as well. So I just want to say that we meet every Monday, and if anybody needs to figure out what the dates of our meeting, you can go right outside there and scan that QR code. It says every date of our meeting, and everybody is welcome. It's open to the public. We don't hold private meetings. Last, we're going to be having Mr. Todd Barnett, who's going to sum up the evening. He's our Minneapolis first commissioner. He's our Minneapolis Commissioner of Community Savings. Previously, he served as the Hennepin County's Chief Judge. Everybody please give a round of applause for Todd Barnett.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone being here. I am going to be the shortest speaker because I'm going to sum all of this up for you. And so AJ started us out with talking about transformation and where we want to go. The mayor, I think, in hearing from our speakers tonight, including Alifa and the team that's here, talks about the city's commitment to this process. I think you all can tell today that we have the right people in place. But I really think that Reverend Bethel, one of the things that he said I think every time I've talked to him about transformation, he always says in healing. There's transformation and there also has to be healing. And I think tonight we see that pathway forward. I was really surprised to find out that Chief O'Hara is the chief for right now. We meet weekly, so there's something he's got to talk to me about. I think our new recruits give us more hope for change and where we're going. And then Mr. Bellecourt, I really think he represents that legacy. And all of us have a legacy. Every single person here, their journey, whatever that journey is, they come here with that legacy. And, Director Phillips talks about that commitment and accountability to all. And so the last two things I want to say to all of you is that this process is a long-term process. It will take quite a while. I said this, and Liz Sawyer's here, I said this to her last week when she interviewed. The settlement agreement and the consent decree only changes the system. That's all it does. The chief changes the culture, you change the culture. And so I want to end with the fact that I think what you see is that we're not going backwards. We're going forward. We're not ever going backwards. Thank you.
So that's all we have on the program. I want to thank everybody who came out here to support this today. Everybody who came out to support this initiative. Everyone who spoke. Members from the community. Thank the American Indian Center for opening up for us. I want to thank all of our diverse communities as part of this Unity Community Mediation team. And as we say, we is Unity Community, so community is always important. I also want to thank this brother right here who's been standing here for the last 15 minutes, ready for his question. That's how it works. If you community, you want to get your question answered, you make sure you stand there. Don't let nobody tell you nothing. I sure wasn't going to tell you. But brother, can you please introduce yourself and come with a quick question or comment?
Y'all should have never let Mo get the mic. My name is Mo. I don't know where Curly and Larry went, but Mo's right here. All I got to say is this, is that I just heard there was a community meeting. I seen a whole bunch of people in here, and I come to Bogart because I'm going to tell you why. About 45 days ago, I got a call from a brother of mine asking me to come over here to the south side and aid and assist him, doing some patrolling at night. And we've been out here almost every night, till 2:30 in the morning, patrolling. Because about 2 blocks away from here, you got what they think is drive-through by a woman, And we had a young native girl snatched. 4 people seen it, but they didn't get the license number. The girl got snatched up. We got 3 more young girls missing from an encampment. We ain't seen them yet. And we've been out here patrolling, and we got to be real careful because the chief will say we're vigilantes. So we got to be real careful. We can't do nothing to these guys. We can't do nothing about the girls, but we sure as hell can't tell them to get the hell out of our neighborhood. And that's what we've been doing, running the fuck out of the neighborhood. We got the Indian Center right here. We got 2 treatment facilities, and you got tricks lying up here for days. Where's the police on that? We've been out here every goddamn night for the last 45 days down here, and we see a cop roll by every once in a while. How come I've been over here for a month, and I already know who's bringing the dope in? I already know who's doing what. But where's Vice? Where's DEA, Chief? I don't know. I'm not a cop. I'm not going to be a cop, and I'm not calling a cop. I'm Native American. I am the goddamn police in this area. And all I got to say is, I'm doing some shit, and I ain't seen damn one of you mugs out there about 2 o'clock in the morning when the shit's rough. That's right.
Thank you, bro. I think it's fair to say that he's tired of some of the stuff that's going on in his community. Yeah, he's tired of it, and he ain't the only one. I stand out here and I see some of those very same things. So next right here, brother, can you please come with a quick question or comment?
Yes, sir. Real quick. 36 in Penn. The building that's boarded up, what are we doing with that? The boarded up one with everybody shooting up fentanyl, shooting dice out in front of it. When Anaya Allen got killed, when I walked up over there at Quick Stop, there's 25 cameras up there. Okay, so I can't imagine on every block there's a camera, we still didn't catch it. And then the store owner got some mad information and they said they haven't talked to you guys about it. So I'm wondering what's going on. That's one, okay? To her point, we're making this change. I wrote out to John Jefferson. I wrote to Todd Barnett many times. We had to reschedule a couple times, right? Okay. The reality is this. There's not no changes in our community. Okay? So are we doing a bait program with the cars? Is there a car stolen bait program that we're doing right now or no? So we have so many stolen cars in the community by Kias, and you're going to still bait us? Are you going to Wayzata and Plymouth, baiting them with cocaine? Are you doing that? So you're putting cars that are running in a city full of poverty, and you're tempting them with stolen cars when there's stolen cars and our kids are being killed. What you want to say, Chief?
36 in Penn, there's more than one building that's boarded up. I've been up there plenty of times. I've walked the area with the council member for that board, Councilmember Vital. I've been up there with the Inspector Adams has been up there. There's been a terrible amount of people that have been shot up there this year. Knock on wood, there's been some relative peace. The problem isn't just at that corner. It's in the alleyway behind there. It goes down, it's like an L shape. It goes down Penn and across Lowry like this. There have been arrests up there. There have been undercover investigations up there. It has not solved the problem, but the police alone are not the answer to that problem.
My name is John Thompson. I am former state representative, east side of St. Paul, 67A. I guess anybody can answer my question, or you can circle back to me. I'm gonna pass my number. First of all, I want to acknowledge you, sister, and say that there's a young black girl with braids that looks just like you, who's, if they see it, they can be it. I was asking, who is this black man in the gray suit? I had no idea we had a black chief judge. There's a young black man that looks just like me and you. If they see it, they can be it. I was Jonathan in mode before, like I'd blow up the meeting if it was something that, and I always felt like, since I've been sitting here, and I just gotta be honest, since I've been sitting here, I always thought like, where's the community? So the DOJ came with, I guess my question, the DOJ came with their findings from the Minneapolis police. And it was like, we just glazed over what the DOJ found. We just glazed over it. But what they found was some real serious allegations. Nobody even got scratched. Nobody got pinched. Nobody got fired. Nothing happened, just the DOJ came out with these findings. And so my question is, because we can have cosmetic change all day, but the culture hasn't changed. Behind the scenes, some of those same officers who were shooting canisters of gas at us right up the street are still within the Minneapolis police force. I'm glad I seen some young people. This is like a young black officer in the back. He was like, there he is, the youngest. I'm happy for you to be here because there's a young black man somewhere, and if they see it, they can be it. There's a reason why people left the Minneapolis Police Department, and it's not because the community. People always say that John Thompson's anti-police, when in fact, my best friend Philando Castile was murdered by police. And I only tried to change the use of deadly force statute, only to find out you get 2 minutes to speak at the state capitol. I thought the state capitol was a museum we take our kids to. Lo and behold, 87,000 votes later, I became the first black man to ever hold that seat in my district. So I would say to you, Al and Miles, a lot of work you do, you probably won't see the fruit of your labor. because we were asking for some of the same things that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Huey P. Newton and Fred Hampton Jr. were asking for, but at the same time, the reason why we're able to put our Nikes on the ground right now is because of the work that they put in for us. And so it's important that you guys are here in these spaces, because if you're not here, then a lot of conversations that are being had now would not be had. You understand what I'm saying? See, a lot of times people make decisions for us without us at the table when the outcome is not for us. And I'm still not anti-police. I'm just anti-BS. And I gotta be honest with you, Chief. I remember cavity searches. I remember the Christmas tree. I remember the ketamine. I remember that, man. I remember getting hit with nightsticks. 16, 17 years old. That culture has not left. So it's up to you, Chief. So I guess my question is, what is it that you can do to change the culture within the Minneapolis Police Department? I'm sorry I was so long-winded, too.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. So we did not get here overnight. So they all going to change overnight. Hundreds of people have left this police department, hundreds. But we're trying to rebuild with new people, good people. It is, in my opinion, and I've told this to the monitor yesterday, you have all these court orders, court documents, legal process on reform, do this, do that, do this training, prove that you get it done. John, it's my opinion that is one thing, and that is separate from actually changing, what happens on the street. So I'm not here to give you some legal mumbo jumbo about what we're doing. We did this paragraph and that paragraph. I'm here to change what actually happens on the street. That's what I'm here for. I did not come from Newark, halfway across North America, leaving my family to lose. So I don't care, we don't have enough cops. I don't care what court order we have this one, we don't want. We're going to win, and we are going to change. And I do think we're on the right path, but it's going to take time.
My name is Dave Becking. I wasn't planning to be long, and I'm maybe not planning to be popular here. But right now, at this point, the Unity Community Mediation Team is seeking nearly $2 million from the city. And many people on the team have been paid by the city for one thing or another for quite a number of years. I don't like to see at both sides of the negotiating table people who are paid by the same people. I want to know, how is the community supposed to trust a group which is taking money from those who are the ones that need to change?
Show where the money that you're talking about, the contracts, because they're all public. So show us which one of those members is getting those public contracts. I haven't got nothing for the city. We haven't got paid anything. No, you asked a question, now let me answer you. The second thing you asked about is $2 million. $2 million does not come to UCMT. $2 million is spread throughout organizations like our Indigenous Protector Movement, like our Voice of East African, like Quorum, like our UCMT, New Salem Church. So this is money that's spread out. It's not like UCMT has asked for $2 million alone, so I would ask you to look that up. And then when you come and say blanket statements about us getting contracts from the city while we're sitting down in negotiation, I would much rather you talk about exactly who you're talking about that has this contract with the city, not just blanket statement, because I don't have no contract with the city. I didn't get paid a dime for 2 years to sit at the table on behalf of the community. So thank you. We'll go on to the next question.
I'm Mike Gozzi. I'm the CEO of American Indian Community Development Corporation up and down Franklin Avenue. All right. My question is, when are we going to get some help? I called you, Mr. Burnett. I called you, asked you about, we're going to put people on the street. I asked if we could get protection. So if I call because I'm getting shot at, will I get some help? I didn't get a response. I got the text. I can show it to you, and so I want help. I'm willing to put people on the street. I'm willing to do it. We did it over George Floyd, and the police didn't have to go on Franklin Avenue. The National Guard didn't have to go on Franklin Avenue. We did it. We have the capacity, but we need help. You always talk about community. You need community. We're here. We need you to help us. And that's what we're looking for. I need a number that I can call so that if we are in a bad place, we get help. I don't need 911. I called 911. 20 minutes, there was no answer. When they answered, they said, there's only 2 of us, and we can't answer it. And so that's what my question is, when and how can we get help to protect our neighborhood? I have a shelter a half a block away. There are 30-some tents along that avenue. It's owned by the Department of Transportation. They need to get in there and get the people out of there. And it's not natives. Because nobody will bother them. And that's the problem. And so we need you to commit to us, to help us, so we can help you. It's a two-way street. I've heard you say, I need community, you need community. But I'm offering it to you. Take me up on it.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
There's a lot of community-based groups that are out here doing work on the street. Some people are getting paid, some people aren't. But we can, we have a new director with the OVP, the Neighborhood Safety Office, the Office of Community Safety that can help, that do coordinate a lot of these groups and can help. But we got to talk about that.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Happy Reynolds. I live in the neighborhood. I want to say first, thank you, AIM, because you guys protect our neighborhood. You protect my children. I love you every single day. I want you to know that you make my neighborhood safer, and I love you. My family has lived in this neighborhood for a century or so. We're in a public health crisis, and I want to thank all of you guys for listening to this, because what you're coming into is a public health crisis of police misconduct, a public health crisis of fentanyl abuse, of homelessness, of generational trauma, of systemic racism. You can't fix all of that. What I would like from you is more transparency that we have in a city council, in my opinion, that has abandoned us to a large degree and is obstructing a lot of the community change that we see happening. And we need you to tell and speak that truth, because otherwise you're all one. To the community, you're all one. And there are many factors to this. And I consider you guys are from my community, you're part of my community too. We need children to be safe here. I've had to bring somebody back to life in front of the library myself. We've had to have my husband stop a 16-year-old being trafficked in our alley. That is just 1 week. We've been chased by machetes, gun flashing, and that's just us. That's every person in this room has had something like that happen. Our children deserve to be safe. Our elders deserve to be safe. I don't make you accountable for that. These problems are decades and centuries old. But we need to be the people who hold it accountable and fix it. And you need to start talking about who isn't fixing it. I would hope we have people running for the wards that are obstructing, because we need new leadership here that wants to invest in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being brief. We're going to pass it on. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dante. I work with the law office in the area. I just was hearing a lot of talking what's going on, and it sounds like you're telling me it's raining while you're shaking your leg, to be honest. First thing, I don't want to go to the car dealership that to be looked at. It's not a community problem. We didn't do nothing. That was the police department that had those missteps, right? Like if my law office has some missteps, you're not going to come save us, right? So by the same degree, you need to stop saying community needs to help us, and the police department needs to stand for the justice that it says it does. And lastly, brother, I know you're from Adam, I'm from North Minneapolis, too, born and raised, coming off kind of defensive in your answers, but God bless you.
Yeah. Here you go.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Russo, and I am the Education Director down the road at Dakota Prep High School. I'm joined tonight by 3 of my young people up here. And the first thing I want to say to you is I acknowledge the patience that you've endured, because we have to. It's really insightful, being invited right away to contribute, that people lose their motivation. That right there is compelling. That right there lets us know that we're not important. Is our voice really, our concerns, where are they really going? We sat and listened to you. We've been in school since I've been here since 8 o'clock, so these guys are pulling an 11-hour day. So I want to let you know, we acknowledge you. The concerns that we're bringing forth is where we're located, there is an ever-growing encampment. My kids don't have any way to walk to school right now. They can't walk on either one of the sidewalks. They can't walk on the road because we're in session at the time that primary traffic is. And they used to walk above one side of the hill, come across on the light rail and come down. And they can't do that anymore. I've brought this to the attention of Minneapolis Public Schools because we are a contract alternative. Minneapolis Public Schools has a plan in place for their buildings. We have committed staff members on site for us. That's not enough. I have to be intentional about how late I keep these guys with me. I have to take into consideration that they can be targeted for many things. They're beautiful young men, but people will mistake them for a threat. People will try to prey on them.
Yes, they will.
So, as a school, we have brought up cited concerns. Mental health, unpredictable behavior of our relatives over there. Fear of kidnapping for our students walking. Physical sexual assault. It's dirty, there's urine and there's feces everywhere. Traffic accidents it's on a hill. At the end of the day, winter's coming. Our space is being violated. Public transportation is an issue, it's a safety issue. I've gone public transportation with my students to go to Red Lake College. There's smoking fentanyl on there. I'm like, I don't know what else to do to keep you all safe. We have tried to geographically restrict our site. Our students cannot be accompanied without an adult, so we make sure somebody is out there at all times. Our door is always locked. We have cameras, and we have been dealing with break-ins. Our solutions, our students came up with solutions for you all. They're high schoolers, 14 through 21 years old, 9th through 12th grade. Lighting. We established more lighting. Fencing. The fences we cut up just keep getting cut down. We're a nonprofit. The fencing that we're looking into is very expensive. Keeping our brush down, we do that. We're doing garbage cleanup. And today we saw the city come through and do garbage cleanup. That says to me, if I were there, you're okay with what I'm doing because you're cleaning up after me. Security, there is security on property. I think the light rail has hired in their own security, and I've seen that that's helped diminish some of what's going on, but it still exists. And then overall, our students are feeling violated. Their space, this is their sacred space.
And traumatized.
Absolutely. But we deal with complex trauma every day, every single day. So to have our young people show up on time every day is a blessing. To see them stay all day is a blessing. And to see them graduate is a blessing. And we believe in them, and we need you guys to believe in us believing in them. They said something, okay.
I want to touch more on the subject of the encampment that is ever growing, because I have a fear for my siblings, just because I have sisters, and as a man, as you get older, your younger siblings and your sisters, it's your responsibility to take care of. And I should be able to feel safe in my neighborhood that I stay in. Yeah, my sister should be able to go on a walk or on a jog without a fear of an erratic, somebody who's off of paraphernalia or any type of narcotic. And they're just making my streets dirty and unsafe for my siblings, where they can't even enjoy themselves outside in the park without some sort of going through their mind, just always thinking about something. What could happen? What could this? And it's nothing changed. It's been 2 years and that campus still always been there the same. It's not really getting any better. And honestly, it's getting worse. Putting up those fences ain't doing nothing. They're just moving over there. You put up a fence right there, there ain't no tents there ever. What's the point of putting that fence up right there that nobody was even there? When you're putting up fences, you're putting them in, they're not even that. So what's the point of putting them up? Put them up where they're at, where you need them, where they actually be utilized for their purpose. And yeah.
It all starts with you, dude. It started with y'all generation, bro. I'm 31 years old. I got any support you need after this. I'm gonna make sure me and Miles get y'all in the car so we can come sit down with y'all. We'll come over to the neighborhoods, like I said, soon. And everybody, I'm hearing conversations surrounded around public safety. It's a lot of people concerned about that. When this is over and dragged on, but hopefully we have enough time where we can speak with a lot of members who's feeling that same concern and is trying to do some of that work that you all are looking for out in the community. Can we please give them another round of applause?
My name is Deanna Child, and I live in Little Earth. I have children, grandchildren I take care of. My sister was addicted before, and I raised her children. I'm sorry you have to deal with the situation. I had asked Frey a couple years ago and voiced my concern about safety with the drug addicts before they were right on 24th and Cedar near us, preying on our cars, our children. Now they're right under the bridge again. And last Friday I had left for home from downtown, took the train, and I forgot I couldn't walk on the school side. I should have went to the Red Lake side because I couldn't get through either side. I had to walk in the middle. But I feel we shouldn't have to do that. I'm a taxpayer. I should be able to travel safely. But I do have a nephew and my youngest one that work at UPS and they bike to work. And they cannot get through that area without getting harassed. And I do thank you and your workers for the hard work that you do, but it's a hopeless feeling that they get chased here and there. And I don't know if there's what kind of solution that is. Instead of putting fences up, putting cement up, how much that costs and the man hours. And I was hoping Frey would have stuck around and I would have reminded him, I talked to you a couple years ago and nothing's been done. But if that, how do we go about taking care of that problem? And it's not just, it's a rainbow. Yeah. So, and the people that come in from the suburbs to try and help them are enabling. And in my point of view, they have to hit rock bottom. And being native, that's a hard thing to do. I have to turn my baby sister away from my house. And it's just unheard of for another person to do that. And she's no longer here, so I feel like I have the right. But yes.
To the previous group that spoke about encampments, I'm sorry for what you all are dealing with and everyone else that lives in neighborhoods that are affected by this. It is the policy of the city that this is not a police department led issue as far as removing people from encampments. But obviously we have to get involved when the city decides that now is the time and we're the people that actually have to go. Two things I want to say. You know, there's a lot of people there that are really, really suffering, like seriously addicted, and they need help. And it always winds up being a thing. Like, we close this encampment here, but people don't want to go inside a shelter for whatever reason. They don't want to follow the rules of the shelter or whatever it is. They don't want to go back home. So we wind up having these groups move around. and it's a bigger issue, that I know there's different things the city is considering doing, building small houses, I think, and other things that's well beyond what my role is. But I tell you, we are doing the best we can. But as you mentioned, even when we do try and close these encampments, we have people that do come in with U-Haul trucks and everything else to then help move stuff just to somebody else's neighborhood, not to their neighborhood. They're not bringing them back to wherever they're coming from. They're putting them some other space. So again, I'm sorry, we're doing the best we can to deal with it, but it is something that, government needs to do a whole lot more. Like, we're not gonna we can't go down there and just lock people up and think the problem's solved. It's not gonna solve it, but thank you, and I know a lot of people are trying to work on it.
My name's Chuck. At least 4 of you have received more emails from me than you care to read, including Mr. Douglas. On June 7th, 2019, more than 5 years ago, Mohammed Noor was sentenced for the killing of Justine Damon. At that sentencing, Hennepin County District Court Judge Catherine Quaintance began her sentencing statement with some questions the jurors had told her they had about Minneapolis policing that they felt hadn't been answered during the trial. Of course, criminal trials have narrow rules of evidence, so not all these questions get answered. That evening, the then chief of police, the head of the Civil Rights Department, the mayor, the city council, and every member of the Police Conduct Oversight Commission had that portion of her sentencing statement from me. That's not real. She ended that portion of her statement by saying, and this is a quote, "The jurors and the people of Minneapolis need and deserve answers." It's been 5 years since then. All of you, I'm not sure you have, Director Phillips, but all of you have received her statement, which she repeated at her resentencing of Mr. Noor on October 17th, 2021. She repeated those questions. Not a single official in the city of Minneapolis has uttered publicly Judge Quaintance's name, let alone tried to answer those questions. She knows she's in the county, she knows she's in the judiciary, and there's no obligation of the city to answer these questions, but it would have shown her and the jurors more respect if you told them to mind their own business. When are these questions going to be answered?
Thank you.
Dear community and neighbors, please help me because I'm terrible with names and dates, but last year the entire community council was assembled in the Phillips Community Building, and it was after the death of, I should know his name, I'm sorry, but someone asked the community council members, each one of them, what they would commit to. And they were each brought up and they had to say something. And one of them said she would bring back the navigation center. I want to know, what is blocking a navigation center? It was promised last year. It's been needed long before that. What is blocking it and how can we make one happen?
Yeah, I wouldn't have the answer to that. That sounds more like a city council question, I would think. I think that would be more towards that.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Mike Forshaw. I'm chairman of the American Indian Movement here in Minneapolis. When I first met Chief O'Hara, I was over at Little Earth. And we walked through Little Earth and we talked to him about the Minneapolis police and what happened. And eventually I told him my own story because I know what it feels like to have a knee of a Minneapolis cop on my neck. I sued the city, I got $125,000. But you know, I have friends, relatives, like Vinny, who opened this up for us. He got beat by the cops twice, maybe 3 times. He never got nothing. And so I appreciate we have to come together. And that's what I told him in the garden. And you know, he asked me to be the first one to speak for him when he was sworn in at Shiloh Temple. It was an honor. And I have a lot of hope for him. I still do. But what I want to know is, when are we going to take a pause so we can look back at all the damage that was done to our community by the city and the police? Because we do have to move forward, but we need reparations. We need something. Anybody who got any money since George Floyd died was the police. They're the ones getting all the money. What is our communities getting? And I work at the shelter that Mike Gozy was talking about. I help run it on the weekends. I see what goes on, and that is not an encampment. You have to, it's an open air drug and sex market. There's a difference between an encampment and an open air drug market. And I too have been talking with the MnDOT, the city. They all claim they don't own the land. Well, it's stolen Dakota land. Well, they finally figured it out. Hennepin County owns the land. And now they can't do anything until the fences come in. This week, fences are coming. Boy, we got more fences than anything. But you know, we have a plan on the table. Jose Gomez supports it. Troy Carlson supports it. But when I asked them if I can interview them to get their support, they said they have to go through you. And they can't do an interview without going through the proper channels. So you might want to talk to them. But we do have a plan with reparations, land back, East Phillips Park. We'll put in a small, tiny home village in there, and we'll close all the Native encampments here in South Minneapolis, and we'll take care of our own people. Minneapolis hasn't been doing a very good job. Oh, one more thing I was told. 18-month-old baby died at the Red Lake building, and it was fentanyl related. Those people at Red Lake, it's what they have to go put through every single day. And I was at a meeting there last week, and it seems like we have all the time for meetings, we have all the money for the police, but what about us? What about us, miigwech?
You know, my name is Hazen. I've been a neighbor here for over 20 years. I'm glad that you introduced yourself, sir. I already forgot your name, so my apologies. But we need to connect because my heart is heavy. My heart is heavy for those children at that school down the block. My heart is heavy for my own child who can't go outside without stepping on needles. Without, you know, for our neighbors that keep getting their cars stolen. For my neighbors that keep, you know, reporting drive-bys in our neighborhood without any response from the police. I called about encampment that was set up on our block. It was very organized. It happened within a matter of minutes. I understand, and my heart goes for, you know, people living in poverty and dealing with homelessness. I do understand. But this is a big issue that the city needs to be held accountable for as well. Because us residents, we're sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of one encampment being closed, another one coming in, bringing in crime, and our tax money goes to the city. And we have organizations, which I would love to connect with you, by the way, to see what the process would look like to getting this resolved. But our tax money goes to those organizations because the city is funding them. But who's advocating for us? Who's advocating for us? We call the cops. You know, we have other departments dealing with it. We call 311. Oh, there's a process now. I completely understand. However, the safety of our children is in our own hands. And we're the ones out there patrolling every night and kicking people off our block to make sure that we're keeping them safe. So if you're a part of an organization that's advocating for, people on the street, I would love to connect. Because just the way you have the right to advocate for your people, I have the right to advocate for mine. Thank you.
So, I'm listening to a lot of people. My name is Loretta, and I'm listening to a lot of people talk about homelessness, and I'm upset about it. I wish that some members of Minneapolis City Council would stop advocating for people to live outside. I've been working in housing, if I didn't say it before, for 30 years. I see what's happening out here. To me, there's categories. There is mental illness, there is substance abuse, I'll say it like that. There's dual diagnosis. There's some people that have been on the street for many, many years and they don't know anything better, so they need relationships in order to come out the street. But what I know is that I'm willing to bust down city council doors to stop the foolishness that what I see in Minneapolis. This is a city that I'm 56 years old, y'all, and I have never seen the city of Minneapolis like this since, 2020, 2021? I've never seen it this way. And I'm tired of what I see, and I'm hoping to help you in any way that I can, because I see the foolishness of some city council members, and many of these people here today have said, we want this out of our neighborhood. Our kids cannot walk the streets. And so it's not okay. So anyway, please, somebody, because I know who they are. I know who they are, and I was hoping that they were here tonight so I could confront them, because it's foolishness. And they're young enough to be my kids, but they're making decisions about whether you have drug dealers, people that are laying in the street, choosing that they're not going to get off drugs, and they're choosing that it's okay for them to be in your streets. It's not okay. So somebody help me, because I'm not okay with it.
Thank you so much for all the public comments. It honestly, to me, sounds as though towards the end, it sounds like this is something that we need to revisit with our city council, because they do make a lot of the decisions that's happening on these encampments. If you're paying attention to that, they make a lot of decisions, and we vote them in. And last time I checked, if I'm not mistaken, I believe next year is election year. So also, a lot of some of those passionate people I heard, I suggest you also put your name on the ballot and speak, because community, it's a lot of people that's afraid to say what was said in here today, but I think it's important that the people who do not like that, you speak up as well, because it's okay to say it now in the room field and yell at the police, but the people who's making those decisions is down in City Hall. So I'll meet y'all down there when y'all ready. With that, I want to thank everybody for coming out here and supporting us today. Anybody who have any questions for me, I'll stay after a little while longer to speak. I want to thank everyone from the UCMT, the Minneapolis Police Department, and LEFA, our Indigenous Protective Movement, the Civil Rights Department, the Public Safety Commissioner, and everybody who had a part of doing this right here. Shout out to Vinny, and most of all, thank you to the American Indian Center for opening this space for us, for opening their sacred space for us to be able to meet and talk about something that we all are concerned about, and talk about some of the work that we're doing. And thank you to the staff who's here, who stayed a little later to ensure that all our community members was able to speak. Everybody have a good night. Thank you.